Yes, welcome back. We are on to the discussion segment of the program, and of course, for the first part of the discussion segment, we want to look at an issue that has been, well, attracting reactions here and there, depending on which side of the divide one belongs, so to say. I'm talking about the Lagos Endsars report, panel report, Endsars panel report, where a whole lot of issues, if you have been opportune to see the report, and so you can understand the kind of reaction that is ongoing. So it's Lagos Endsars panel report, matters arising, and we have in-house with us a public analyst who is at home with any public-related issue, so to say, Ustaz Jubril Lawal. Ustaz Jubril Lawal, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me. Good morning, good afternoon.
All right, Charity is also here. Ustaz, of course, here and there, I think on Monday report was actually released, and we've been hearing reactions here and there. You've also seen the report. What do you make of it?
Thank you so much. First and foremost, I want people at home and all of us in the studio to know that the issue of the JPI results report, that is the Judicial Panel of Investigation on Lekki, it's something that one needs to really handle with care. Mostly when you're in public domain, like we find ourselves now. However, we need to understand the situation we find ourselves in the country regarding, the incidents. The panel used the word incident, and I want to use that word incident. There have been various commentators, even as at this morning. That famous lawyer, a son, his name is not in my head now, was saying that there is nothing like white paper in the law of Nigeria.
Falana.
Yes, there have been a lot of comments on that. Some people have said, even the comment of the Minister for Information, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, was premature, etc. So many comments. And like I've said in the introduction too, it has been here and there with the report. But the truth of the matter is that we thank God that at least the panel was set up by the government, and that the panel, were able to do their work, and also that they came up with the report. However, we feel towards it. The panel sat down for about 90 days, about 9 months. The first was 6 months, given them by Governor of Lagos State. Then they requested for 3 more months, and then for 9 months they did their work and they came out with their report. Quite bulky, about 309 pages of the report. It focuses on so many parts of the crisis, and one of the mandates of the panel was one to investigate, to find out who should be punished or not, restitution for the various people that have been a victim of police brutality, because that was what brought up the Endsars protest. It was police brutality, #ends police brutality, etc. And then police reform too. So a lot of things came up, and the panel did their work, and eventually all of us we knew that they've been given compensation to people here and there before that even report came out. But the report has been the subject of discussion, and one area of that report, it's like I said, it's bulky. First and foremost, one of the mandates of the panel was to identify victims of abuse, brutality, and extrajudicial killings in the hands of officers of the disbanded SARS and officers of the Nigerian Police Force. That was number one item on that list. But eventually, the governor of Lagos State, expanded their scope after the Lekki Toll incident, and he said they should equally involve, that incident. And in that, the governor told us that the panel shall ensure speedy inquiries to restitution on SARS activities and extrajudicial killings of innocent citizens by the dissolved SARS, with a view of delivering justice for the victims, as well as compensate their families and dependents. That was how it started. But after the crisis, the governor went on to, expand the scope of the panel, and made them to equally want to go to the fact that they need to, talk of investigate what actually happened on Lekki on October 20. And that's what brought us to this level we find ourselves, because the panel eventually came out and told us that incident can be, equated, and I'm choosing my word there, as used by the panel, can be equated to a massacre in context.
In context, okay.
Equated to a massacre in context. Page 295 of the report made us to know the context they are talking about. On page 295 of that report, they came out to tell us that going into various books of definition, the Webster Dictionary, Wikipedia, that what we call massacre is when you attack defenseless and harmless, citizens or people. And that is where they said in context. So there have been a lot of comments in that, okay, a massacre, etc., and that really generated so many discussions. But my view, and I have to be honest with this, yes, they've come out to say it was a massacre in context, but I have said it is not a massacre in its outcome. The incident at Lekki, according to the panel, was a massacre in context, but was not a massacre in its outcome. Maybe further into the program, I'll get to tell us why I did not support the fact that it was a massacre in outcome, but in their definition of the context, they say it's a massacre in context. I don't want to question that. The panel have their reason for.
So we can have a massacre in context and we might also not have a massacre and still have something that is not a massacre in outcome.
Thank you very much. According to the definition they gave us, they said multiple deaths. Many people dying, etc. Now they said the youth of Nigeria sat down with Nigerian flag, singing national anthem, when army or security agencies came and, start shooting. And because of that context, they have said it's a massacre. Page 295 of the report. Let me go there, we'll read it for people to see word for word. It's not that somebody is just making up anything out of it. Now, this is it. They said they came, page 295, they came, and then eventually, when they got there, the Nigerian youth were sitting down, and while they were sitting down, the police started shooting, and they said in context. In that context, it's a massacre. It's a massacre. In that context. Now, you have asked a question, can something be a massacre in context and not in outcome? And I'll say, this is why I said that. Eventually, when you go into the report, we cannot actually lay hands on vivid, clear evidence of people that have lost their lives as a result of what happened at Lekki on that day, including their family members. The panel went on to say, okay, the security agents came with the van and they were packing bodies, etc. And I said, my own question is this: did they equally pack the families of those that died? The families of people that passed on at that incident, did they equally pack their body? And that's why I said, okay, in the context as described by the panel, it's a massacre. But in outcome, it is not a massacre, because we could not trace the resultant effect of the massacre in terms of the bodies of people that have been killed in that multitude. We couldn't trace it, and did not equally prove. When they were giving us the list of names of those that were killed, they just not names: Tony, Uche. And it's not a complete news of, okay, these are people that we have traced to this address, to this family. This is the statement from their family that they said this person was at other place and he died. They couldn't give us that. And that's why I said, yes, a massacre in context, but not a massacre in its outcome.
Okay, Ustaz, can we say the minister now, because on Tuesday he came out to analyze the report, and he said there were errors, gaps, omissions, and he faulted the report. Let me not say in the entirety now, but he faulted the report and he challenged some of those things that the panel wrote about. So I want to pick out the fake news aspect of what the minister said. Talking about the outlook of the crisis now, can we say the minister is right to say fake news was the in thing?
Charity, yes, it will answer your question, but closely to let's just watch the minister.
Okay.
Let's hear the reaction of the minister briefly
about the report.
Then Endsars will now answer that question. That is, you are trying to analyze whether the minister's reaction was right or wrong, because a whole lot of issues too, a whole lot of reactions have followed his reaction. His reaction, yes, reaction following reaction. All right, let's here.
public space is simply a rehash of the unverified fake news.
That's all. Okay, that was Minister Lai Mohammed there addressing.
Okay, we'll still listen to you again, Ustaz, you can start when we get his picture again, and of course we want to hear him out again. Okay, this is Lai Mohammed again.
For the triumph of fake news and intimidation of a silent majority by a vociferous lynch mob.
All right, Ustaz, you have the floor.
Oh, thank you so much. I would rather not want to, pick up the issue of what the minister did or did not say regarding. He has his opinion, using for calling it fake news or whatever he wants to call it. But you have to understand that.
To be cowed by the rapidly lynch mob that has been screaming blue model since the report was released.
He has his own...
Yes, he has a reason for saying it's a fake news or not, and I won't want to join issues with him on that. And you have to understand the position he's coming from. He's an employee, of the federal government. He has a duty to play regarding what is going on in the media. So if he comes out and feels that whatever is in circulation is fake news, I don't know. But one thing we need to acknowledge is that the report has not been officially presented by Lagos State government. Whatever it is, it was leaked by a non-government organization, an NGO, and that's what all of us are. So if, from that point of view, he feels a fake news, because it has not been officially acknowledged, I don't know. But if he feels a fake news, how come he's reading it and reacting to the public on it? To that, I feel he should have left it as a fake news and let it just stay as a fake news and not come to make an issue out of it. He has, right to his own opinion, and he has said what he feels about the report. But then, could he have kept quiet as the Minister of Information, for government of Nigeria? I doubt if he could have, because the way the media went about, promoting that report, even despite the fact that it has not been officially acknowledged by the Lagos State government, the state that, the body that said, okay, go and do this job for us. It went on that it kept on being a discussion. Every platform you see it was a discussion. So as the, how do you put it? As the Minister for Information of Nigeria, I doubt if he could afford, to just keep quiet. And it's a propaganda thing. And it came out to, to feel he has a right to the propaganda issue that was going on, and he defended it the way he could have defended it. But being that as it may, I want to pick some of the things that he said. Tales by Moonlight, I didn't quite agree with him that it's a tale by moonlight, because there were killings. For all of us that felt the report was not being fair, we didn't deny that killings came up at Lekki. Nobody said there was no killing. For the minister to come up and want to say no, there was no killing, he was not being sincere, because people actually died as a result of that. Even in the report, the army representative who sent in an affidavit, an affidavit and video clip of what happened. The army didn't come to the panel.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. What was the implication of this? Because I've seen some interviews with some members of the panel, and said, despite repeated invitations to the army, who are I don't know, maybe who are one of the key actors, so to say, they have been alleged to have brought in a lot of their men. I mean, they did all sorts of things, but they did not appear in the panel. I mean, what does that suggest?
Well, thank you. Before I got there,
their non-appearance.
The army did appear.
Okay, but not personally. Not in person.
Not in person. They sent in their lawyers. They sent in an affidavit which they, they posted to, and equally sent in.
I think that was enough.
I'm coming.
And that should be enough.
And equally sent in, their own defense, even in visuals. It's from this report I read it. They sent in their report, even in visuals, but they did not come in person. But the officer in charge of that, the chief of staff of that 31 Artillery Brigade, or whatever they call it in Lagos, did come up with those things. And he gave them the account of what happened on that day. So if they said the army in person did not come.
Ustaz, you can check an affidavit, you can check a video report, and still want to ask a follow-up question.
The person to come physically.
a follow-up
No, I agree with you, because for those that appeared, they were cross-examined.
Yeah, cross-examination.
They were cross-examined.
Yeah, sure.
But it would not be right to say the army
did not appear. Okay.
But we can say they did not appear in person. And
they appear in their own style.
They appear in their own style, gave an account of what happened that day, and even in their account, they acknowledged that somebody died. Okay. They acknowledged that the person that died, after, examination, medical examination, etc., they used one word, that was something terror, and it was not even an actual, gunshot that killed him. What I'm trying to, where I started from before we got there was that for the minister to now say people did not die, he was not being honest with Nigerians. People actually died. But I might agree with him that there was no massacre at Lekki. Okay. It was not established, even by the panel. It was not established by the panel. And that's why they were careful in the way they chose their word. In context, there was a massacre. But in outcome, and I kept on saying it, there was no massacre. Even in their report, they only listed 3 people that were deceased. 3 people in that report. I can read their names for you. Let's go there. They only gave us names of 3 people that died in that report. And that's on page 296. Or thereabout. I just saw it. They gave us the names of those that died, and only 3 people in the list they gave. Only 3 people were listed as deceased.
And that couldn't have been a massacre.
It couldn't have been a massacre, and that's what I'm saying. List of some casualties of Lekki toll gate is there on 20th October 2020, and this is found on page 296. Let's go on to 297 and look at the names they gave out. They gave to us. List of casualties. Number 1, Victor Sunday Ibanha, deceased. Gender, male. Location, Lekki toll gate. Number 2, Habuta Solomon, status, deceased. Gender, male. Location, Lekki toll gate. 3, Jide, deceased. That is the status.
With no surname.
With no surname. Gender, male. Lekki toll gate. Thereafter, all others were gunshot injury. You see the status of the incident that happened to them: gunshot injury, injury to the waist, injury to the wrist, etc. So out of these 3, can you now come and say the outcome of what happened in Lekki was a massacre in outcome? It wasn't a massacre in outcome, and that's why I said I feel the panel wasn't frivolous in the way they capture. If they have wanted to help Nigerians and help the peace of Nigeria, they could have said, in context, what happened in Lekki was a massacre. But in its outcome, it was not a massacre. So, that's a balanced report.
Ustaz, can we say the report is a one-sided one?
Well, whatever the agenda or the intention of the panel, I don't know.
Okay. Let me add to that question. What I say one-sided, because Line 100 also came out that why didn't they capture policemen that lost their lives,
and the families,
and of course the police stations that were burnt here and there,
and the soldiers?
Why did the panel deliberately leave that out and just focus on what? Now, if you look at this reaction too from Lai Mohammed, that comes. I mean, the question I asked.
I was getting to that. When I was defining the context, I faulted the panel for just limiting the context of that incident to what happened on October 20 alone. The context of the incident they are asked to investigate was not just what happened, on October 28th. It was a thing that has spanned for over a week. It was the Endsars protest itself that the panel has been asked. I read out, the terms of reference of the panel. It included everything about the Endsars and not just what happened on that day. Why am I bringing that into context? When you talk of that context and you looked at just one aspect of the issue that happened, you don't look at what happened when even Governor Sanwo-Olu came out to meet with the Lagos State government, through the governor, wanted to dialogue with the youth. I hope you have not forgotten with the Sorosoke town. The way the Sorosoke town, the way they were referring to, was the governor of Lagos State. When he was trying to address the Endsars protesters at Alausa in his office, he came out to meet with them. And when he was talking, somebody said, where the Sorosoke, the way they were talking, ran to was the governor. As at the time the governor was calling, because actually the army, were not happy in their report that the governor denied that they were invited. But actually, the governor invited them. And the head of service of Lagos, Muri Okwala, came out to say they actually invited them. He told the panel that actually the governor had no reason not to invite the army as at that time, because the police had obviously lost control. Overwhelmed and lost control of the protest at that point in time. And you see, the army went on to give us section of the Nigerian Constitution that gave them that power to come out when the police could no longer handle such issues. So we need to look at everything in context, not just the context of what happened on the 28th of October. And that's where I felt that my word as in the panel have been frivolous and they are mischievous. They have deliberate intent of misleading Nigerians what happened with the kind of report they gave us. They were playing to the gallery. Simply playing to the gallery and wanting to meet up with the demands of a lot of people in Nigeria, civil society in particular, on their claim that there was a massacre in Lekki. Every incident before that panel report came out has shown that there was no massacre in Lekki. Look, listen, all those that they said were killed in Lekki, all of us eventually saw them. They came out and said, I was not killed. We all saw the report. The BBC report on that issue came up. BBC filed a report and said the army were shooting into the air. This was documented even by the panel themselves. So when they came out to say in context it was a massacre, they had their intention, they knew where they were going. But I felt it would have been very good for us if they came and said, in outcome, though, it was not a massacre. They could have told us that and go ahead to look at all other issues surrounding what happened at Lekki, the burning of police station, the destruction of property in Lagos, before the army came out. As I said, the army came out, plenty of things has happened. On that day, I remember that I was on Root FM, live program, on this issue, when the governor came out and gave that report. And I remember the presenter was asking me, that what do I think will happen? I said, at the rate at which it is going, when nobody is coming out to be the face of the protest, don't forget, nobody came out to be the face of the protest. Government actually wanted to interface with the youth. They wanted to interface. In fact, let me tell you, what happened, that Lekki issue, the youth protest and Endsars, to me, gave us the other side of Nigerian government that we know. Because the youth were there for a long time. There were a lot of effort. Even the police were not shooting, they were not killing. Because they had orders not to kill. That's why they could afford to bombard their stations and kill their men everywhere. Because they said, don't kill them, we want to engage with them. Governor Sanwo-Olu tried to engage with them. And what did he get out of it? It was an insult that he got out of it. So when you look at the context the panel was talking about, in that situation, what do you expect a responsible government to do? Still kept on folding their hands? When they have made an attempt to look at how can we engage you, talk to you, nobody was coming up to be the face of that thing. I doubt, if any government anywhere in the world will have kept quiet and be looking at what was happening. But however, the unfortunate incident happened. And if you ask me, despite all problems, I feel the Nigerian security agencies still were able to manage themselves. When you look at what eventually became the outcome of the engagement they had with the youth on that day. The engagement eventually did not suggest there was a massacre. The engagement eventually made us know that in the videos that we saw, guns were being fired. They brought in a ballistic expert who came to look at one Funchako, and he said when they examined the impact around the area of the incident, they did not see or could not lay their hands on claim on any bullet or ballistic impact of any bullet on any of the surrounding property that they have there. That yes, glasses were shattered, but they were shattered as a result of stones being thrown and not as a result of bullets coming. I have it in this report and I highlighted that for people to listen. When you look at all those reports that come from experts that came today, none suggested the Nigerian army fired into the crowd. So the report was not being fair to all the agencies involved. And I felt on each of them, they ought to have come out and say, we look at this area, this is our view on this. We look at this is our view on what the police did. This is our view on what the governor did. This is our views on what other did. Yes, they came out to commend the hospitals. There are a number of the hospital treated people that came from, the toll gate issue on pro bono, and that they should be commended. I agree with that. But that's just a section of what happened. There are other units of institutions that were involved in what happened. The panel should have gone ahead to itemize one after the other, the roles played by each of them, and let us have their view on them. They did not. Okay. And that's why I felt they were frivolous, they were mischievous in their choice of language in describing what happened in their report.
Okay, let's look at the language that the federal government has used in analyzing the report now, do you think the federal government has that right to rubbish a report, even if the report is wrong? Is that not a way to come out, maybe diplomatically, to say this report is not good, not using some statements or words that could bring about
like I told you, Alhaji Mohammed was reacting to what was going on in the media. And I have to be honest, I think we need to knock the media, knock you people on the head with the way you have handled this, the judicial panel of the JPI report. I believe the report was leaked to the press. The report was leaked to the press. Officially, it has been given to the government. The government has not publicly released that report. But the way the media went about it, I doubt if Alhaji Mohammed, as the Minister of Information for the Nation, could have kept quiet and not respond. And it was a propaganda. And Alhaji Mohammed actually knows how to handle propaganda. And what he only did was he needed to, use strong words that could, discredit that report. But all that being said, the fact that people died at that incident and they are Nigerians does not call for such response from a man of that. That's my view. And that I like them having to come out and apologize to Nigerians. Yes, I agree with him. We couldn't establish massacre in Lekki. Even this report did not establish massacre. But nobody could deny the fact that people died. Even the Nigerian army said somebody died. And they gave us his name. The Nigerian army said that. They said one person died. Governor Sanwo-Olu said 2 people died.
And the report has now said 3 people died.
So I felt that as a responsible government, they need to have, sympathized with the people that because they are Nigerians. And they died as a result of what happened at Lekki on that day. So that's why I faulted him. Was that he should have, a bit more careful with the choice of words and show empathy, for people that were really involved, who lost.
Ustaz, sorry to cut you. If Minister Lai Mohammed is talking about fake news, and this report is not an official one, then what is he saying about fake news?
Well, I don't know. That's why I said only the minister could be able to define to us what he meant by fake news. I won't be able to defend him. But perhaps he was referring to the fact that it has not been officially released. Maybe that's what he meant. Of course,
so why is he reacting to unofficial?
People are reacting to something that has not been officially
and that's why I said
when I was talking to him, you are referring to something that is fake.
That he shouldn't react to a fake news also.
That's why I said Alhaji Mohammed should have been a bit more choosy in the way he went about with his words. But he came out with emotions. But mind you, he didn't respond immediately. It took some time for him to respond. In fact, I think it was this week he responded.
Yes, on Tuesday.
Tuesday. And that shows that they have sat down to look at the report. He didn't just come out to talk. They sat down to look at what that report is, so whatever
and
it is.
And he quoted the paragraph.
Yes, that he was talking about. So I felt anybody that wants to respond to whatever Alhaji Lai have said, need to controvert him on the things that he has said regarding the report.
Okay.
However, that still does not justify some of the choice of his words, because Nigerians actually died in that incident. And that's my concern. To the CSO, the civil society, I have had reason to engage some of my colleagues, because I'm also a member of the civil society, in Ogun State and in Nigeria. I have had reason to engage my colleagues, and I've said, we are pursuing something that will not give us results. I said, we left what we should pursue, and we are pursuing what will not give us results. And they said, how do I mean? I said, look, the word massacre is political in the whole incident. What we want is justice for people that lost their lives or they were injured at that incident. Instead of pursuing the word massacre, why not let us go and pursue the word killings and put a demand on the government to compensate those that have been identified as, being killed at that incident? Because for now, government is still denying that people died at that incident. And what that means is that they are not ready to pay compensation to the family of those people.
And the report didn't capture other states too, because other states were affected.
And that's why I'm saying that. What the civil society should be doing now is not to run after the issue of massacre or no massacre, which has taken the media space. Rather, we should be emphasizing on the fact that people died. And government hold the family of those that have died a duty of compensation People that had injury as a result of that, government owed them a duty of compensation. I think we should stop pursuing the word massacre and face that as civil society organization. That to me is the best way to get justice for those that were involved with that incident, and not the word massacre.
Okay, let me take you back to the period, especially in some states, maybe Lagos State. What lessons have we learned from that? For example, this Endsars will not be the end of protest in Nigeria. We never know when another one will happen, so to say, and people have their right to actually protest peacefully, so to say.
Yes.
It was meant to be a peaceful protest, no doubt about it, but of course it was hijacked, and we know what happened. Are we saying that government doesn't have what it takes to actually protect government monuments? People are saying, looking at the direction, looking at what it is going, the government, for example, in Lagos State, has no excuse to allow arson to take place. That, for example, if you know there's a protest, we have government properties here and there, are we saying we don't have enough security to actually be stationed there? If you are getting out of limit, we know that it's not their fault. You are coming, you want to burn a bank, you want to burn buses, and you meet security guys there, definitely some people will just move. That did not happen then. Have we learned from it? Or we don't have the capacity to protect our monuments in times like this?
The truth of the matter is, at that point in time in Lagos, and Nigeria as a whole, the Nigerian security outfit did not have what it takes to stop what happened in Lagos. I will explain. As I think that thing was happening, police were already overwhelmed. They were deployed in almost all parts of Lagos. Leave Nigeria, let's face Lagos. They were deployed in almost all parts of Lagos. And we're talking of a mammoth crowd. There is no way they want to stop the crowd and want to defend the monument. How many are the police around the monument?
Maybe government underrated the impacts
of the protest.
I am coming to that until they got to that level. Because the army general that sent in an affidavit, which he deposed to, and the video, said that for them to be able to mobilize troops to come in to quell whatever was happening at Lekki, that the chief of army staff, Buratai, then needed to, stop the, bringing army recruits that were still in training. He said it. He said they had to stop them because they were supposed to graduate on the 21st. And those were the people that they brought because they did not have the manpower. It was in this report. They did not have the manpower that could stand up to face the kind of challenges that they were having in Lagos at that time. He said it. So in answer to your question, government, apart from even narrating what was happening, as at that time they knew the scene was getting out of control, but they did not have the capacity as at that time
to control
what was coming up. They didn't have that capacity. Don't forget that Nigerians were really agitated against the government. There are so many people in Nigeria that had reason to, one thing or the other to want to fight the government. And the youth were restive. The youths have a lot of energy to burn in them, and they saw it as an opportunity. And as at that time, even if they want to mobilize the old Lagos police, there was no way they could have been able to stop what eventually happened. We're talking of so many monuments that were scattered all over the place. You don't even know which one they want to attack. Whoever knew, who could ever have thought that they would go and attack Oyibo? They did not succeed at Oshodi, from report, because of the intervention of MC.
Okay.
The leader of that was why they did not succeed in burning what the Oshodi buses. Who could have been able to say what was going to happen, where they were going to attack? The army general too went on in affidavit. He said when they came out onto the street of Lagos, that he remembered Liberia. That what he saw on the street of Lagos on that day was reminiscent of what happened in Liberia during the Civil War. That's for you to show, to know the magnitude of what we're talking about. You understand? So there was no way the security could have been able to say they want to come in and stop it. I think what we need to do, like I have been telling people, when they talk about Boko Haram and banditry in the Northeast, I said, what we need in the Northeast is not bullets. What we need in the Northeast is bread. And I've explained what I meant by bread. What Nigerians need was not more bullets or more boots. No. It is for the government to take care of the agitations, the need of the people. For instance, now, if government come out to say they want to increase fuel price, as they are proposing, with the price of gas the way it is, I don't see how we can prevent another protest come next year. And if that happens, you can imagine the number of people that will come out and say they want to protest. How would Nigerian state be able to come up and say they want to stop that, when almost 70% of our troops are already in the northwest and the northeast fighting banditry? Where would they get enough men to, quell such, or even the police? How would they get that? So what I think government need to do is to start bringing about policies that will, that will pacify the people, and not wait for when crisis come, they want to deploy men and bullets to fight. To me, it is the Nigerians.
The president have given an order, a marching order. Only God knows how many marching orders we have had in the same time, that the security people should get the bandits.
Okay,
and of
we
course,
have a call.
Okay, yes, there's a call here. We are actually telling you that you can be part of the program. We are looking at Lagos Endsars panel reports, matters are right. Hello. Jamil from Itori. Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, my name is Jamil. I have a question for the Endsars that you invited to the program.
Okay, our guest, go ahead.
Please, since he's been talking about this issue, I haven't seen him talking about who is going to be responsible for the Endsars this thing. I think he should talk about that very point. Who is going to be responsible? It's not that people die and the government will compensate them whatsoever. It's about who is going to be held responsible. Is it the Lagos State government? And this panel that is talking about that they've not submitted the report officially to the Lagos State government. The panel will set up by Lagos State government. So whatever report they brought out, we should be waiting for Lagos State government this thing, because they are people that they trust. That's why they have been set up.
Okay.
So a lot of things, and the Minister of Information, Lai Mohammed, what he said in his press conference maybe on Tuesday or so, he's talking about the reports being fake news, not being massacre or whatsoever. When people die and they are Nigerians, and these people we are talking about, they haven't shot at them at Lekki Gate. They didn't hold any weapons at all. The only thing they were holding is Nigerian flag. So what prompts the army to be shooting at them?
Okay.
Okay, we get your point.
We get your point. Yeah, Ustaz, anywhere in the report where people were held responsible? Because I don't know, by my own understanding, by the time you are saying pay compensation, do that, do this, it means indirectly you have told the government that this is what you should do, because you should protect people in any situation. But I'll allow you to answer it. Who is to be held responsible? Did the panel touch on this?
Oh, thank you. Let my listeners at home, and the viewers at home rather, know what we're talking about here. I condemn in totality the brutality that eventually came out, in totality. My concern has been the way the panel went about with the report. And I'm using those words. I said they were frivolous and mischievous in the way they captured that report. There were so many beautiful things in that report. I've read it. So many beautiful recommendations. To answer your question, yes, they held individuals and institutions.
Okay, we have another call. Solomon Adekunle is calling from Abeokuta. Good morning,
Please,
Solomon.
You answer that question. Let's take Solomon so that we'll answer these two together before we take another call. Solomon.
Good morning, Akin. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ustaz as well.
Go ahead.
We start saying something. No, it's Akin that said it. That as Nigeria really learned from what Nigerian government has really learned from what happened at Lekki Gate. Truth be told, Nigerian government hasn't learned anything, whichever way it is. You can see a lot of life that got lost during the incident. We all see Lagos State government said it's true, the army said it's true. It's lies. A lot of lives got lost during the incident. just the truth. And again, sir, Stars is trying to nail Akim that the media shouldn't have spread the report. No, they should have done it, because if it is not, if the report is not out, why we masses, we know that the report has come into, has seen the light of the day. So that is it. I think it's the right time for Nigerian government to sit down, to wake up in their responsibility, to do the needful, and again what's it called?
Hello.
Hello.
I think you have made your point. Yes, that's all observation. Nothing to react to there.
Yes.
Just, you were talking about something.
Yes,
we need to know.
Yes, I said instead of just making too much noise, too much ado about this massacre thing from the report, the panel went on to do good job on what and who was responsible. They identified individuals and also institutions and made recommendations.
Okay.
They said the police officers that were involved, they gave their names, that are identified to be involved in, in attacking, brutalizing this youth, should be punished, and the police should be made to know that they are punished. Some should be dismissed. They went on to talk about the way and manner the state should invite the military into issues of that nature. Because the army said they got invitation from the Lagos State governor or government to come in to quell that riot. And what they had was 12 o'clock. That there was a curfew that would start from 12 noon. And then when government eventually shifted from 12 noon to 7 p.m., they were not informed. He said nobody gave them that information. So the panel equally identified that area and recommended that in future, incidents, they should ensure that there is proper communication between all the agencies. The panel equally went on to advise and ask for the government, to bring about palliatives and things that will prevent the repeat of such, and also police reforms. That government should make, they've been paying lip service to police reforms in Nigeria, that they should come out, and show Nigerians what they're doing about police reform, and actually go ahead to give police training. Those were their recommendations in that. So there are recommendations, and they equally went on to hold government responsible, both at the federal level and at the state level, even though they were sent to work by Lagos State government, and went on to say that these people should be compensated. Now, who will do the compensation? They did not mention. It's another thing. But they said government should ensure that compensation is paid to the families of the victims that have been listed and identified in that their report.
Okay, Stars, let me look at the other angle, the youth angle of it. Are we saying the youth that went on for the protest and the protest eventually became something else? Did we say from day one to the end of the crisis, they did everything good and they did everything well? Because we know that there are two sides to a coin. We are blaming the federal government now, blaming the minister about what he said, about analyzing the report. What about the youth? Are they saints in all of this?
You see, one thing I've told people in the past regarding the Endsars protest is that it came out to reveal the social problem we have in Nigeria. One of my social problem is that our institutions, the youth as a strata of society, have not been well mobilized and galvanized to contribute their energy into the development of the nation. And that was what played out at that incident. Because as at the time that thing was going on, the youth meant well. Government wanted to engage with them. They couldn't engage with them. They don't know who to hold on to. And that was the first problem we had with that protest. Ordinarily, that was a kind of protest that could have given us something bigger than we are having on our hands.
Maybe
now.
they have a trust issue with the federal government.
No, it's not a trust issue. It's a trust issue that emanated from among themselves.
Okay.
Each of those that could have come out to say, okay, we are doing this, we are representing the youth. We're scared of being tagged.
All right, we have another call.
Sunday is calling from Lagos. Sunday, you're welcome.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning, Sunday.
Good morning.
Yes, we're happy to have you. Sunday calling on a Friday. Go ahead.
Yeah.
What I want to contribute now for this issue is that all of us are from Nigeria. Those people that they kill need to be compensated. Those individuals they kill during time of Endsars government need to compensate their families. That's how to do something. Because it's government that are ruining us. Do you understand? We're under the government. Do you understand? And I don't know whether the state government send those soldiers to come and do this, to come and fire those people in Lekki, Tollgate, or federal government. We never know. If it is federal government, it's them who take responsible to pay for the victims. You heard me now. Hello?
Hello, go ahead. We are listening.
Are you with me?
Yeah, we are.
If it's self-government, they need to pay. So nothing concerns panel there. Are you with me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
This is what I want to contribute as a citizen of the country. Because all this country belongs for all of us. Those people they kill, they are human beings like us. You understand? And the government will be responsible for all those people they kill. Because we are under government.
Okay.
If you don't know their right, let them know their right now.
Okay.
All right. You made your point.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Ustaz, you don't, my view is this, by the time you invite military to come and take charge of a situation, you don't expect the military to come and take charge, and you don't expect not to see, because they will take charge the only way they know, and that is, I don't know, the military term. The police could still be friendly and say, okay, go ahead with your protest, we'll be watching you. I'm not too sure the military will do that, because their own language, the only language they understand is action, so to say. That is that. Now, if we say we have this thing, I mean, are we saying the truth? A whole lot of state governments put up a panel to actually invite people to come and say what they have gone through the police, either brutality and what have you. The panels in these various states have sat, they have submitted their reports, and of course, from the look of things, are we proactive? What has happened to these reports? Have people been compensated? People that have been found by the panel to have been victims of police brutality, have they been compensated? The police officers that have been recommended for discipline,
okay, Akim,
have this been carried out?
Akim,
so we'll take this call, then you come and answer that, and the implication of that when you're talking about trust.
Okay. Good morning, Soriola from Abeokuta.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, you're welcome.
May I know if it was the Lagos state government that set up the panel?
Sure.
Yeah.
Why is it that the federal government is now commenting on the issue rather than that of the state government commenting on the issue? That is one.
Okay.
Two, when we are talking about compensation, the state government in Lagos, formed that particular committee, not the federal government.
Yeah.
Why are we now involving the federal government being paying for the victims? I want the person on it to clear these questions.
Okay. Ustaz, did you get it?
I'm not too sure the panel recommended that federal government should pay compensation. I don't know.
Why is the federal government reacting to the Lagos State panel report? That's his question.
Well, you see, being that as it may, I want to appeal to all of us that have been responding to this report that if we really don't want a repeat of, we should try and main issues of that report has highlighted. Like I said, there's a lot of good elements, in the. I disagree with the minister when he said it was a waste of taxpayers' money. I disagree with him. You can't have a justice and the eminent personalities we have on that panel, and you say they just no. They came out with something very meaningful, which I think all of us, the agencies that are involved, will need to sit down, and look at. Like
we have another call there.
Okay,
Olaiton is coming from Abeokuta.
Hello, Olaiton. Hello, Olaiton. Olaiton, you are on.
Hello?
Okay,
go ahead, Olaiton.
Good morning.
Hello?
We can hear you, Olaiton.
Good morning.
Good morning, go ahead.
Hello?
Hello, we can hear you, go ahead.
Hello?
Go ahead, we can hear you. If you are watching us, just go ahead.
Okay, hello. I want to ask the question, a very simple question about the panel.
Okay.
Because this Endsars matter, I think most of the things the youth they fight for is police brutality, how they brutalize Nigeria, the way they operate. Up till now, the police stop brutality, because I will tell you with all sense of belonging that a lot of things that happen in this country, the government know what is happening, but they can never find a solution for it. Because I don't know the reason why. Because if you go through the whole of our major highway road, you see where police using a gun, shooting people up till now after the Endsars issue. I don't know what the police and people are doing about this thing. They said they should reform police, and they reform police. It's a lot of what you use that for.
Okay.
All right.
Now,
thank you. Mr. Lighton, thank you very much. You've made your point. We won't take calls for now to allow our guests, because this is just very close to the question I asked before we started taking calls, that panels were set up, recommendations were made. Are people enjoying the recommendations made by panels right now?
The crisis?
Have the police officers who have been identified been disciplined? Have they shown the public that they have been disciplined? Because we need to know. You can't just say you do this in the confine of the barracks. If people do not know, then it means somebody is not being truthful here. What's your reaction to all this?
Like I was saying before that call came in, one thing Nigerians have not done is that we have not been patient enough, for us to have the benefit of the JPI. That is the Judicial Panel of Investigation on Lekki incident. Good enough, even the panel didn't call it Lekki massacre. They call it Lekki incident. They were careful with the choice of words, the title, their report. But if only we can, be more patient, government will need to issue a white paper. And the white paper simply means that government is coming out with their view on what has been given. I think it's an administrative thing. It's only then government can now say, okay, we have gone through this, we are doing this with the men that have been involved, the police or officials that have been involved, we are recommending this payment by government, etc. They've done their recommendation. We need to wait for the white paper to be able to determine a number of questions Nigerians are asking.
Endsars, what about the states where judicial panels were set up because from the outcome of this Lekki, Endsars protest?
Yes.
And we know that they have rounded off their sittings, they've made their recommendations, compensate this, compensate that, discipline this, discipline that. As at this moment, do we have evidences that all these recommendations have been made? If by now there is silence, and we know that when it comes to justice, the Nigerians don't trust their government, have we actually learned anything?
I know in some states, I want to be careful with names of states. I know in some states, the judicial panel have done their work.
Yeah.
I have friends in some of the panels, and then when we meet at our meeting, they will say, we have submitted our report. But
it's not up to them.
But the body language of government does not suggest that they want to do on that report. So that's why I said even we should appreciate, the effort of Lagos State government so far, because they've been very outstanding in the issue of the Endsars protest. Lagos have really been outstanding, and that's the next truth, And we need to wait. My own opinion is that we need to wait for them to come out with a white paper, because the report has been submitted to them. They've acknowledged they've received that report, and they've said a white paper will be issued. It's only when that white paper is released we can now start questioning what lessons or what benefit have we gotten from the the report of the panel. But the panel have done their job. They've made recommendations. They've equally listed officers that need to be, punished or penalized. Institutions that did not do their job well, procedural error that they noticed, they've mentioned it, in a lot of this area. Like I said, in that report, they equally recommended that some private organizations like hospitals who treated victims of some of these injuries pro bono, should be taken care, should be compensated. Those are kind of the things that the government will come out with in their own report, which is the white paper that we're talking about. Until that white paper comes out, there is hardly anything anybody can do, because the person that asked them to do that job is the government. And the government will need to take up that report. They've not spoken on it. And it's that white paper, that's why I think I disagree with Feb Falana on the issue of it has no duty or no business. Our Lord does the white paper. I don't know what it means. That government who has been given a report need to come out with their own, final paper too. Whatever color that paper will be, whether white or yellow or blue or red, I don't know. But they too need to come out and say, okay, based on the report we have been given by this panel, this is what we are, that's the white paper they are talking about. It's an administrative issue. It doesn't need to be using the constitution. It's an administrative issue. And the executive, I think they have such powers to do that. So when we have that, we can start talking about that. But as citizens and as civil society have been telling those that care to listen, that we need to change our approach to the way we're handling this Lekki Endsars issue and Lekki toll gate incident. And I've said, look, if we want to get anything meaningful from this, let us leave what we cannot defend or establish, which is the massacre. Let us look at what we can establish and which the panel has equally helped us to establish. They did a lot of work. There was a lot of work, report, an examiner, coroner report, witnesses, medical report, examination of people that died. All these were brought up, to justify that one or two few things happen. So what I'm now saying in essence is that what all of us should now be working on how to make sure we get the benefit of the report and leave the issue that is in contention. The issue of whether it was a massacre or not a massacre is in contention. But the fact that people died, is not in contention. So all of us should look at how do we benefit from this by putting pressure on government. Civil society organization and other pressure groups should ensure they put pressure on government to implement the salient recommendation of that report and stop debating the issue of it was a massacre. No, it wasn't a massacre. As far as I'm concerned, massacre was not established even by the report. In context, there was a massacre according to them, but in outcome, there was no massacre. However, people died, people were injured. What do we do to compensate those that were injured? Should be the duty of
businesses were affected.
Businesses are affected. Thank you. They equally went on to give us report of buildings that were burnt, business that were burnt down. Can we put figure to this? What is government going to do to some of those private individuals who lost property apart from life? In that is what should be our focus now, and that's why I'm appealing to Nigerians. Let's leave the issue of whether there was a massacre in Lekki or not a massacre, and face the issues that have been established. And let us know how to compensate Nigerians, one, about it, two, prevent it from happening again by making government to become alive to their responsibilities. It was because they failed in their responsibilities that pushed the youth to the street. That's the truth. And the panel equally went on to say they should implement the police reform that has been listed. It should be implemented. This, I think, is the way forward to some of the issues that have come out that are germane on that report. And Nigeria should please let us focus on those germane points and leave the issue of whether it was massacre or not. As far as the Minister for Information is concerned.
Let's take this last call. Adesoya Adebowale from Lagos. You're welcome, Adesoya. Hello, Adesoya.
My name is not Adesoya. Adetayo Adebowale.
Adetayo.
Adebowale.
Okay, let me stick to Adebowale then. There's no controversy about that. Adebowale, you're welcome. Go ahead.
All right. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, I really appreciate what you are doing. This government have already failed. This government, they have already failed all Nigerians. For them to even come out on this is like they take everybody, all the youth, all the leaders, everybody in this country. They take us for fool because we are not happy about all this. We are really not happy. And this thing is being all everybody. And I believe if they are going out with all this.
Oh, we lost
that call.
Anyway, we couldn't get, but of course, you are not happy with the situation that has been established. Ustaz Jubril Awal, as we go, what will be the pass in short? You have also said that there are too many good things in the report for it to be described as a tale by moonlight. And of course, that we should just look at the positives and, I mean, try and still wait for the white people here and there. And to other governments too, whose Boris brutality panel was set up and the report has been submitted, they should actually come up with their white paper and do recommendations here and there. And if we have police institutions where some men have been punished or disciplined, we should know, so that Nigerians will also know that, yes, the government actually feels the pain of its citizenry. So as we go, Ustaz.
Well, like I've said earlier on, there are a lot of recommendations that the panel gave, very beautiful ones. And I feel that the government should try and work alongside, the recommendations of the panel. There have been beautiful ones. Try to implement them. Massacre or not a massacre, we should not distract us from other issues that the panel addressed, and they are all germane to development of the nation, to how we are going to prevent future occurrence, because the panel equally went on to say, how can we prevent this thing from occurring again? And they gave their recommendations and suggestions. All these are what I expect government to look into and start taking immediate action. It is not something we can postpone, whether at the state level and at the federal level. And that is the way I want us to look at it. That let us look at the beautiful part of the report, the recommendations they've made, and let us start acting on those recommendations.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much, Ustaz Jubril Awal, a public analyst at any time. And of course, we've been looking at Lagos Endsars panel reports, so to say, matters arising from various reactions, from the recommendations, and of course the report of the panel. That's how it's going to be on this Friday edition of New Dawn with Charity James and Hakeem Aketunde. Charity?
All right, I will tell our people that be safe out there and ensure that you do right in the society. We'll see you next week.
Don't forget that New Dawns is on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, while the Yoruba version of Tonjo comes up on Tuesday and Thursday. Well, Ogtv will also always be here to actually get you informed, get you educated, get you entertained. That's why we are here. Thanks for watching. We'll see you some other time. My name, Hakeem Aketunde. Bye for now.